Gaza protests have been spreading to Virginia campuses, so too has the unrest associated with these protests. Police and protesters clashed at Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond and at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville. There have been demonstrations at other Virginia taxpayer-supported schools, but they've been generally peaceful. The debate over these protests has been anything but passive. Protesters, and not all of them are students, are demanding the state's public colleges and universities cut economic ties to Israel. These schools, largely through their endowments, hold stock in corporations that do business with the Israeli government and Israeli companies. This disinvestment is intended to punish Israel for the humanitarian crisis in Gaza caused by 7 months of war between Israel and Hamas, the Palestinian group that attacked Israel, killing some 1,200 people. Israel is retaliating, vowing to wipe out Hamas. The Palestinian death toll is north of 30,000. Protesters also want an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. That way, aid can more easily flow to Palestinians in need of food, water, shelter, and medical care. There have been on-again, off-again talks over a ceasefire, as well as the release of the remaining Israeli hostages held by Hamas. Here in Virginia, the debate is becoming sharply partisan. Republicans, among them Governor Glenn Youngkin, suggest that these campus protests are fueled by anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism has long been alive and well in Virginia, but Republicans make the argument that it's getting worse, that crisis, like the one in Gaza, more fully exposes hatred of the Jews. One thing about Republican support for Israel, some of it has to do with conservative Christians who are an important part of the Republican coalition. In many respects, they're big on Israel because they see the Jews as placekeepers, that they'll defend the Holy Land until the return of Jesus Christ. And at that point, Jews would also be converted to Christianity. Democrats, most notably those on the party's far left, are down on Israel because they believe Israel's military campaign goes way beyond self-defense and retaliation. These so-called progressives, apparently the word liberal is out of date, say Israel is solely responsible for the mounting deaths and humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Some of them even call it genocide. Jews know something about that, having seen 6 million murdered by Nazi Germany in World War II. It was that horror, that genocide, that led to the creation of Israel in 1948 as a homeland for the Jews. But that required displacing the Arabs already there. These are the Palestinians, and their conflict with the Jews has its origins in the birth of Israel nearly 75 years ago. Another aspect here in Virginia of the argument over Gaza, conflict over constitutional rights and the struggle to balance one right with another. Protests are all about free speech. Protests on Virginia campuses have at times been loud. They've also gone beyond the sit-ins of the 1950s and 1960s. Pro-Palestinian protesters, some of them outsiders, have set up camps vowing to occupy them until their demands are met. Some of these encampments have been declared trespassing and were cleared by police at UVA and VCU after battles with protesters. The left says this is nothing more than police violence. Another right is that of safety and security, and this is why one hears reports of Jewish students saying they've been threatened by protesters. Also, these colleges and universities have to get on with their primary business, educating students. That's difficult to do if students and faculty can't get to their classes because protesters are in the way. That's even tougher if you have a situation like that at the University of Virginia. The school said protesters could indeed hold demonstrations there, but that an encampment was prohibited. That didn't stop protesters, and that meant state, local, and campus police were called in. It was another black eye for Charlottesville, a city still wincing from the deadly Unite the Right rally in 2017. These issues are not going away anytime soon, and here's betting Governor Youngkin, intentionally or not, adds fuel to the fire when he speaks at VCU's commencement this weekend. Commencement could be anything but a celebration. For the Richmond Times-Dispatch, this is Jeff Shapiro.